Today, let's discuss the backhand flick, focusing on its power generation mechanics, the direction of the stroke, and how to counter different types of spin. Some students ask me, why can't I generate any power? I tell them it's because they're not using their body. Watch me hit a few high-quality flicks. I'm using my whole body to generate power. You're used to the motion of pushing, and a push doesn't require waist rotation. For a push, you just need to move forward and back, and then execute the shot. So, you've never learned to use your body for in-table shots. The first step is to get your body coordinated. When I rotate, my elbow points at the ball. And then as I make contact, my body uncoils. Your body has to rotate with your arm. It's not a huge rotation, but it works with the arm's acceleration to create explosive, compact power. Otherwise, if you only use your arm, your flick won't have much pace or quality. But if you integrate your body, the quality of the shot goes way up. Its power can be comparable to a loop. It's like a mini loop drive from over the table. Your body must have this feeling of coiling inward and then exploding outward. It's not just a simple rotation. It's about coiling inward to store energy, then driving through the ball. Think of it as absorbing in, then exploding out. Of course, when you're just starting to learn the flick, don't worry about this feeling yet. First, get the racket path correct. Once you reach the second stage of learning, you should start integrating your body. Because your arm has limited power on its own. From the side, the motion is coil, then drive. Coil and drive, don't just rotate. Just rotating will actually hinder your power generation. In fact, a lot of backhand power comes from the lumbar spine area, combined with contracting your core and then thrusting forward. My backhand punch uses the same principle. If you want a high-quality flick, relying on just your arm will cap your consistency at around 60 to 80%. The rest has to come from transferring power through your body. Why can't you generate power? It's because your posture is always upright. You have to coil inward first before you can explode outward. Think of your body like a spring. You compress it to store energy, and then you can release it explosively. You have to coil in before you can drive out. If you approach the ball standing straight up, you'll never engage your body. It's like the leg drive in a loop. If you don't first load by coiling, how can you drive up? If you're standing straight up, how are you supposed to get a leg drive? You can't generate that drive from a posture like this. Every motion works like a spring. To explode forward, you must first load backward. To explode upward, you must first load downward. That's how you generate power. It's like winding up and then releasing. You're loading this part of your body like a spring. The backhand loop is the same. I coil in, then coil and drive, and that's where the power comes from. The flick is the same. Coil, drive. Whichever direction you want to explode in, you must first load your energy in the opposite direction. Without that initial loading phase, you can't generate power in the follow-through. You can't generate power with a motion like this. So, the backhand flick is about absorbing inward and driving outward. Amateur players don't have enough arm strength, so you need to learn to use your body's power. Penholders can flick too. Load, and go. Second, let's talk about the direction of the stroke. Your backswing for the flick must start from the 5 o'clock position. If you start at 6 o'clock, by the time you make contact, it'll be more like 7 or 8 o'clock. To fully load your power, you must be at the 5 o'clock position. Against heavy spin, without this full backswing, you simply can't lift the ball. Against topspin, it doesn't matter as much, you can just flip it. But what about heavy backspin? That's why you must fully load your power from the 5 o'clock position. The key here is the path from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. You need to brush the ball smoothly along this arc. From 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and I'm referring to the tip of your racket. So why do players struggle with this 5 to 10 o'clock motion? It's because you're trying to go from 5 o'clock straight up to 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock. You have to remember the clock faces round. To get to 10 o'clock, you have to be moving towards your left front, right? Another reason some people can't get the ball over the net is that their elbow isn't stable. When they flick, their elbow collapses downward. You must keep your elbow stable and supported. By stabilizing your elbow, you create a pivot point for the rest of your arm. Every stroke in table tennis needs a stable pivot point so that your upper arm, forearm, wrist, and fingers can generate force effectively. If all your joints are moving together, you lose all your power. So, during your backswing in contact, keep that elbow stable and focus on brushing towards the 10 o'clock position. The motion from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock is the whip or the snap, that's where you release your power. For example, from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'm generating spin through friction. But a full motion from 5 o'clock to 2 o'clock is a power shot, where the follow-through is for acceleration. So, think of it as 5 to 10 is for brushing and creating the arc, and 10 to 2 is for adding power. That's how you should think about the flick. Once you've created the arc, you can then drive through the ball, using your forearm to press forward or whip through it. But during the initial brushing phase, your elbow must remain stable. After you've made contact, it's okay for it to move with the follow-through. But if you drop your elbow while trying to create friction, you'll lose your grip on the ball. It feels like you start to create an arc, but then you immediately squash it. So, in that 5 to 10 o'clock phase, make sure your backswing is full and that you really feel that brushing sensation toward 10 o'clock. This way, you can lift even the heaviest backspin. And then you can drive forward through it. You must understand this racket path, 5, 10, 2. It's not 6 to 9 to 12, or 6 to 2. Those paths won't create the necessary arc to lift backspin. If you feel the ball has heavy spin, focus on really gripping the ball with your stroke. If you feel the spin isn't heavy, you can be more aggressive, adding more forward impact. This way, you can handle any type of spin. You no longer have to just push on serve-receive. This is an aggressive, proactive technique. Once you reach a certain level, the game is all about who can initiate the attack first and more aggressively. Third, and this is the most critical one. Many players ask me how to flick sidespin backspin versus sidespin topspin. The difference in your technique for these two spins should not be that big. It's completely different from how you handle long topspin versus backspin balls. For instance, against backspin, we have to close our racket angle a bit, grip the ball with friction, and then flick. Now, if you serve sidespin topspin, I'm still going to use the same motion to grip the ball and flick. In my opinion, there should be no major adjustment in your racket angle between the two. Because the beauty of the flick is that it allows you to create your own spin without having to perfectly read the opponent's. Some players open their racket angle when flicking a topspin ball, treating it like a loop against a long ball. This is incorrect. If you open your backhand angle, you'll just pop the ball up. Where's the friction? You must keep the angle closed and brush the upper middle part of the ball. So if you keep the racket angle closed for both, what is the only difference? Against sidespin topspin, you might use slightly less brushing and more forearm acceleration. You just make contact and immediately snap your forearm. Whereas against sidespin backspin, I might let the ball sink into my racket a bit more, using the same fundamental motion. When the ball comes, I first focus on gripping it, and after I've secured it, then I apply power. My forward forearm push will be slightly less pronounced and a bit slower. Against backspin, maybe my stroke is 60% friction to grip the ball and 40% forward drive. Against topspin, maybe it's only 20 to 30% friction before I start accelerating forward. But the core motion remains the same. Don't make huge adjustments like you would for long balls, topspin, backspin, sidespin. Absolutely don't do that, because the spin on a short in-table ball is never as extreme as a long one. You don't need to overcomplicate it with different backswing heights or opening and closing your racket. Just keep your racket angle closed for all of them, brush the upper middle part of the ball, and as long as you're creating friction, you can flick both sidespin topspin and sidespin backspin. The whole point of the banana flick is that it's an in-table technique that can handle any spin. If I had to analyze the spin that precisely, I might as well just push or flip. Why risk the more error-prone flick? There are absolutely no drastic changes to your technique, not your racket angle, your brushing angle, your power direction, or your hand height. You're overthinking it. The flick is what it is. A short ball truly can't have that much spin, so you don't need to imagine it's more complicated than it is. Even that tricky, floaty sidespin topspin serve, the one that pops up high if you push it, can be flicked with the same technique. When the ball comes, use the same motion. Keep your racket closed and attack it, regardless of the spin. Keep it closed. If it has more spin, I just focus on brushing upward a bit more. Then drive through it. For that floaty sidespin topspin, you can just lift and flick it directly. Why can't you create friction? Every time you fail to grip the ball, it's related to your racket angle. You're hitting through the ball instead of brushing around it. You're making flat contact, which is why you're not getting any grip. You must brush the ball with a closed racket face. If you feel it's going into the net and just try to lift it with an open face, you might get it over, but you'll have zero quality on the shot. Only by brushing with a closed racket angle can you generate your own spin. Making flat contact or just lifting the ball won't work. The quality will be poor. When I watch professional matches, I see that in rallies, their racket angles on both forehand and backhand are extremely closed. It's so closed that from the other side, I can't even see the red rubber until after they've hit the ball. This is because they want to hit with maximum power while ensuring the ball stays on the table. If they open their racket angle even slightly, the probability of doing both successfully drops. So, the flick is fundamentally a friction-based technique. For any shot that relies on friction, your racket angle cannot be too open, it must be slightly closed. Once you can flick, you can handle balls to your backhand corner, the middle, half-long to the backhand, and half-long to the middle. The half-long ball is the most important one because, in amateur matches, you rarely get perfectly short serves, most are half-long. Your opponent is waiting for you to push that half-long ball so they can loop it. But if you can flick it first, you seize the initiative. And remember, you must practice flicking down the line and to the middle. Don't always flick cross-court to their backhand, because they can easily block it back, putting you on the defensive for the next shot. If you flick to their forehand or their middle, you'll win the point in 1 or 2 shots, guaranteed. Plus, the flick doesn't require a perfect read of the spin, because you are creating your own friction. Furthermore, it's an in-table and half-long technique, and the flicking motion itself has a natural sideways arc. This allows it to neutralize heavy spin and let you attack, effectively breaking your opponent's spin.